Hello everyone. Today's video is related to a very important research-based AI tool known as Connected Papers. You can reach out to this tool using connectedpapers.com URL. Used to spend hours manually searching for research papers that were relevant to my work during my PhD studying days. Finding papers that support my research were often frustrating and time-consuming. Fortunately, there is much easier way now, that is through connectedpapers.com, which helps researchers quickly discover related papers and understand how different studies are connected. The video on connectedpapers.com will be split up into two parts. So today I'm going to cover the first part on connectedpapers.com. Before we start how actually the connectedpapers.com works, first we have to select a starting point that is known as seed paper. Now, seed paper is the paper that could have been given by your supervisor as the most important paper, or normally the paper that we call as the base paper. So, for example, now in order to go ahead with it, first I would like to have my base paper. So, I'm going to enter some of the keywords into the search bar in order to detect one of my papers. And now, as you can see that I have entered three words, that is early hotspot detection, and now it has given me few suggestions. So I'm going to click on them. And as soon as I click on the option, the first option, that is early hotspot detection in photovoltaic modules. Now the results are in, and as you can see that the results are summarized into three main panels. On the left hand side, it is showing me the origin paper that I have called this base paper. And beneath my origin paper, there are a couple of more papers that are connected and that are closely connected to my origin paper. In the middle, there is a connected graph given, and this is the most important aspect of connected papers graph. Now, what this graph is that connected paper analyzes references, citations, and relationships using this graph with other publications. So it creates this visual graph of papers that are closely related to my base paper. And I will be very closely monitoring this particular graph, and I'll get back to it very soon. Now, in the third panel, it is giving me the very basic information related to my origin paper. For example, what was the year of its publication, what is the journal name, what is the current citations, the DOI, and the basic abstract. Now, what does this graph means? Now, let's zoom in a bit, and I'm going to zoom in a bit. And as you can see that there are a couple of nodes given over here, and there are a couple of connecting lines that are connecting the base paper with the other papers. Now you can easily locate your base paper, which is marked as the most dark circle, and there is a purple contour that is safeguarding it. So that is the paper, that is my base paper, Ali 2021. And there are a couple of circles that are connected to it. And as I hover onto any circle, then the connection with the base paper is made evident by hovering the icon over it. So what does these circle means, and what does these connecting line means? I'm going to get back to it. But first things first, what does this graph mean? So the most important thing related to this graph is mentioned over here, that this is not a citation tree alone. So most of the other AI tools that are available or over the shelf in the market are based on citation only. That means that your base paper is connected with the other paper based on the citations connectivity only. That if there are papers that have been cited in connection with the base paper, then obviously the connections would be evident. But here, the connected papers not only consider the citations as the basic metric, it considers other relevant matrices such as the field, the area of the research, and the citations to connect the other papers with your base paper. So, what this means is that it makes it very easy for you to come up with the other papers that are most relevant to your papers. And then you don't have to manually go to, for example, googlescholar.com and give a certain queries or the prompts to come up with the most relevant papers, blah, 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 that is connected to my papers, and then download them and then research on them. So what does this graph means? And I've already told you. And what does these lines means? Now I'm going to interpret this graph, and then in part two we'll have a look at how we can get a very precise analysis from this graph. Now, what does these lines means? The lines between the papers indicate a strong relationship or similarity between the papers. So papers connected by lines usually share common references, topics, or research themes. So if I have a paper, and if there is a very light colored line that is connecting my base paper with this Hussein 2023 paper, then obviously this very certainly means that there is a very small amount of or references or research theme that is connecting this paper with my this paper. And what did these isolated circle means? And again, this Hussein paper is the circle that is not very heavily connected with this cluster, and this is some sort of an isolated paper. So the isolated paper means that it may cover a unique perspective, a niche topic, or a different research direction. So if anyone who is traversing these papers is still looking for a research gap or a novel idea, then this isolated circle could be a very interesting starting point for you. So what does a connected circle mean? So this is important. So as you can see that this base paper circle is connected with many other circles. And as you can clearly see that some are very dark theme circles, whereas some are slightly light, and they are carrying different shades of gray. The color generally represents the publication year of the paper. Similar color indicates paper published around the same time, allowing you to distinguish older and newer research at a glance. So, for example, the circle with much darker color means that they are very, very recent research papers. For example, this very dark circle means that this is a very recent paper, and the year over that particular circle confirms this that this is a 2024 year publication. So again, that could be a very interesting point for me. And what does the circle size mean? So for example, if the size is very small or very large, then the larger circle typically represents the paper that have received more citations or have greater impact in the research community. So if I'm looking at the graph, then for example, let's summarize this. Means the darker circle means that it is a recent research paper, and a larger circle means, or a larger volume circle means that it is a heavily cited paper. So, first things first, I've entered the basic research paper, the seed paper, then I come up with the graph. Then the graph means that I'm going to be looking at a circle that is darker in a tone and larger in volume size. And that would be the good starting point to come up with the second paper that I'm going to read. So, for example, this is one of the papers that has been connected with the base paper, as you can see. And it is very decent in not only the color but also the size. So if I click on that, then it is again showing me the basic information on the right side panel. That means that it has 449 citations, and it is 2018. The year is 2018. So if my supervisor has given me the first paper as the base paper, then intelligently I would be selecting this particular paper as the second paper that I would be reading. And again, if I have a sign of PDF given over here, that means that I'm not going to be searching for its PDF manually, because its PDF can be searched from then and there from this particular connected papers tool. And as you can see, from that PDF option, I can easily download the PDF as well. And then I can start from the get-go and just read the paper, and that would be a second paper in my research phase that I am going to be have to consider. So with this, the part one ends here, and I hope that, as usual, I have contributed meaningfully in your research endeavor. And please stay tuned for the part two on connected papers. Until then, have a good day. Thank you.